Gravity. Yeah, gravity. That is really the only word I can think of when I look at the stack of notes we have for today.
It's a heavy one.
It is. Usually on this show, we talk about television as entertainment, as a form of escapism. We analyze plot holes or like cool special effects. But today we are looking at a pivot point, a moment where a character steps off a ledge and realizes, perhaps a bit too late, that there's just no way to climb back up.
Right. It's that moment of no return, the exact second gravity takes over.
Exactly. So we're diving into Breaking Bad today. Specifically, we're looking at Season 1, Episode 3. And the title alone, it sets this really specific darkened mood. The title is "And the Bag's in the River."
It's such an evocative title, isn't it? But it's also, well, it's deceptive.
How so?
Because it implies a conclusion. Something finished, packed away, disposed of. But as we're going to find out through the source material, nothing about this hour of television is finished. It's messy. It is profoundly unfinished business.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before we get into the blood in the basement, let's just set the table for you listening at home. If you're here, you likely know the basic premise of Breaking Bad. High school chemistry teacher, cancer diagnosis, meth cooking. We aren't here to recap the series or explain who Walter White is.
Right, you already know the setup.
Yeah, our goal here is to zoom in with microscope level intensity on this specific chapter, because looking at the critical reception and the script notes we've pulled, this seems to be the moment Walter White truly crosses the line.
I think that's the correct read, absolutely. Because if you look at the pilot and the second episode, everything is chaotic. It's pure reaction.
Yeah.
It's panic. It's a lot of running around in underwear and crashing RVs. It's almost slapstick at times.
Slapstick, yeah.
But this deep dive is about a choice. It's about a quiet conversation in a basement, a sandwich, and a broken plate.
It's amazing how high the stakes can get with just those simple domestic elements. I mean,
Yeah.
No explosions, no car chases, just a plate. So let's look at our source stack for today. We have the plot summary, the production notes, and the critical reception, all pulled from the episode's extensive Wikipedia archives, plus surrounding critical discourse. We're going to break down how this narrative was really engineered.
And we really have to credit the architects here. This episode was written by the series creator himself, Vince Gilligan, and directed by Adam Bernstein.
That's a heavy-hitting duo.
It is. And that pairing is significant because they are establishing the visual language of the entire show right here. They are essentially teaching us how to watch Breaking Bad.
Context is key, too. This originally aired on February 10th, 2008. Think about the TV landscape back then. I mean, we were post-Sopranos, but we hadn't quite hit the peak prestige TV era yet. Shows were still largely episodic.
Right, and this episode feels almost like a stage play compared to what was on TV at the time. It just halts the action to focus purely on psychology.
So, here is our mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack how this specific hour constructs suspense through intimacy. We want to look at the balance between a sort of scared, straight subplot involving Hank, which is fascinatingly tone-deaf, by the way, and the lethal reality Walt is living. And finally, we need to understand why critics, even way back in 2008, ranked this as one of the most intense episodes of the entire series.
It's a complete study in contrasts. You have the theoretical danger of drugs versus the actual visceral danger sitting right there in a basement.
Let's start at the very top. Segment 1. The title. And the Bag's in the River. It's a weird title, honestly. It feels like the punchline to a joke we missed.
It really does.
Yeah.
But it's actually a very deliberate nod to cinema history. It's a direct reference to the 1957 film Sweet Smell of Success.
Oh, which is a noir classic.
An absolute classic. There's a character in that film, Sidney Falco, played by Tony Curtis. He's a press agent. A total scumbag, frankly. And he's reporting back to the powerful columnist J.J. Hunsaker, played by Burt Lancaster. Falco is trying to say that a messy human problem involving a relationship Hunsaker wanted destroyed, has been taken care of. The line is, the cat's in the bag and the bag's in the river.
Cat's in the bag and the bag's in the river. Wow. That is remarkably cold. It just strips the humanity right out of the equation.
That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
It transforms a human life into an object, a bag. In the context of Breaking Bad, it implies a clean, finalized solution. It foreshadows exactly what Walt feels he has to do. He has a problem, a living, breathing problem named Crazy 8, and he needs that problem to be in the river. He needs it deleted.
But here's the friction. The title promises a clean resolution. The reality of the episode, though, is the exact opposite, because we are in the aftermath of the previous episode, and it is gruesome. Walt and Jesse are in the middle of cleaning up the bloody remains of their other attacker, Emilio.
And we have to be graphic here to really understand the psychology of what's happening. This isn't a sanitized TV cleanup where they just wipe a counter with a paper towel.
No, not at all.
They dissolved a body in hydrofluoric acid in a bathtub upstairs. And the acid ate through the ceramic, it ate through the wood floor. The ceiling collapsed.
They are scrubbing up sludge.
Exactly. Sludge.
It's visceral horror. I mean, it's red, it's goopy, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And they are doing it in these bulky hazmat suits. It creates this hellish imagery right at the start of the hour.
It forces the characters, and obviously you, the audience, to confront the physical reality of death. You can't look away from it. Walt thought chemistry was clean. He thought it was just equations on a chalkboard. Now he's realizing that chemistry acts on the world in extremely messy ways.
But while they are scrubbing floors and dealing with that nightmare, they have a much bigger issue. Emilio is dead, but Crazy 8 is still alive.
Locked in the basement.
Locked in the basement, secured to a pole with a heavy-duty bike lock around his neck. And this is where the conflict really sparks. Walt goes down to converse with the captive, and during this conversation, the source material points out that a major betrayal comes to light.
Yeah, this is a crucial plot point that drives the paranoia for the rest of the episode. Crazy 8 reveals that he knows things. He doesn't just know them as the cook and punk, he knows about Walt's personal life.
Because Jesse talked.
Exactly. Jesse, trying to act tough, or perhaps just being careless in the days prior, told Emilio and Crazy 8 details about Walt. This absolutely shatters the anonymity Walt thought he had. It makes the threat incredibly personal. It's not just drug dealer versus drug dealer anymore. It's, this man knows where I live, he knows who I am.
That realization triggers a massive explosion between Walt and Jesse. I mean, the friction here is just palpable. Jesse's clearly not handling the stress well at all.
Well, look at Jesse's coping mechanism. He's smoking meth. He is literally high while trying to dispose of a body. He's just vibrating with anxiety.
And Walt, despite being the one cooking the stuff, completely judges him for it. That always struck me as so hypocritical. He's making the poison, but he looks down on the person taking it.
It is hypocritical, yeah. But it's completely consistent with Walt's character arc. It's that superiority complex we see in Walt early on. He views himself as a craftsman, a scientist. He views the product as chemistry, as purity. But he views Jesse as a junkie. He thinks he is above the consequences of what he makes. He genuinely thinks he can participate in the drug trade without being of the drug trade.
The confrontation gets superheated. Jesse absolutely berates Walt. He's angry that Walt hasn't done the agreed-upon task.
Which is killing Crazy 8.
Right. They flipped a coin, didn't they? It feels so juvenile, flipping a coin for a human lice.
Yeah.
And Walt lost. It's his job.
And Jesse is done. He drives away in a rage. He leaves Walt completely alone in that house. And I think that isolation is key to the episode's atmosphere. The noise of the argument fades, the car drives off, and now it's just Walt, the silence of the house, and the man in the basement.
That is a terrifying setup. Just you and the moral burden turns the house into a pressure cooker.
A pressure cooker is a great analogy. There is no escape valve. Walt has to deal with this himself.
Before we go down into that basement with Walt, because that is where we are going to spend most of our time, I want to pivot to the subplot, because the writers do something really interesting here. While Walt is dealing with a literal life or death situation, life goes on for everyone else. We shift to Skylar and her sister, Marie.
This subplot provides such a stark contrast to what's happening at Jesse's house. It's built entirely on a misunderstanding, which is a classic farce structure, but here it's played purely for drama.
So Skylar's talking to Marie. She needs to know about marijuana because she found Jesse's pot when she was looking for Walt earlier. But she can't say that.
Right, so she frames it as research. She says she's writing a new short story featuring a stoner character.
Which is a clever lie. In theory, Skylar is a writer. It fits her profile.
In theory. But she's talking to Marie, and if you know Marie, you know she listens to respond, not to understand. She immediately jumps to a conclusion. She doesn't buy the fiction angle for a second. She assumes Skylar is projecting. She assumes Skylar is actually worried about Walt Jr.
She thinks the son is smoking pot, which is a huge leap of logic.
It is, but it speaks to Marie's need to be the problem solver or the one in the know. She loves drama. Skylar insists, no, it's for my story. But Marie is already running with the ball. She's convinced Walt Jr. is the problem.
And because Marie is Marie, she doesn't just keep this to herself. She prompts her husband, Hank, the DEA agent, to intervene.
She wants the authority figure to step in and fix it.
And this leads to what is essentially a scared straight segment. Hank takes Walt Jr. to a motel. Now, I have to ask, does this scene feel jarring to you? compared to the basement stuff.
It's supposed to be jarring. It's a total tonal clash. Hank brings Walt Jr. to this seedy location to show him the reality of drug abuse.
Yeah.
He introduces him to a prostitute named Wendy.
And specifically, he points out her teeth.
Yes, he shows how the meth use has corroded her teeth. It's grotesque. It's meant to be shocking.
It's the "this is your brain on drugs" commercial brought to life. Look at her teeth, don't do pot, which makes zero sense because pot doesn't do that to your teeth.
Exactly. Hank is conflating everything. He thinks all drugs are the exact same thing. But if we pause and analyze this, look at the two drug worlds the episode is presenting side by side. This is the brilliance of the script.
Okay, let's break that down.
On one hand, you have Hank's world. To him, the drug world is something you look at from the outside. It's a spectacle. It's a zoo exhibit. He can drive his nephew to a motel, point at a monster, and say, "Don't be like this. It's performative. He is safe."
Right. He's in the car. He's wearing the badge. He's in complete control. He even jokes with Wendy. It's basically a game to him.
Exactly. But then you cut back to Walt. Walt's experience of the drug world isn't a performance. It's the basement. It's quiet. It's psychological. And the danger isn't corroded teeth. It's a piece of sharp ceramic and a bike lock.
That is such a powerful irony.
Okay.
Hank thinks he's saving Walt Jr. from this terrible world, acting like the big hero, while Walt Sr. is literally drowning in it just a few miles away.
And Hank has no idea. He's looking at the symptoms on the street, completely missing the disease in his own family. It highlights how blind Hank is, despite being a so-called good agent. He sees the caricature of the criminal, but he can't see the criminal mastermind forming in his own brother-in-law.
So Hank is playing tour guide to the underworld, but Walt is living in it. Let's go back to Walt. The subplot serves to isolate him even further. He has to call Skylar.
The lies are compounding rapidly here. He calls her and claims he's at the car wash.
A job she knows he quit weeks ago. That is a really sloppy lie.
It is. He's losing track of his own cover stories because of the immense stress. She catches him in it immediately. She tells him angrily not to come home.
So now he is truly exiled. He can't go home. He's stuck in this house with his prisoner. The walls are closing in. And this leads to one of the most defining moments for Walter White's character. He sits down and writes a list.
The pros and cons of murder.
It's so academic. Who writes a pros and cons list for killing a human being?
A scientist. A man who has lived his entire life by the scientific method. Walt is trying to impose order on chaos. He believes that if he can just isolate the variables, if he can weigh the data, the correct answer will naturally present itself. He's trying to intellectualize a primal, violent act. He treats murder like a chemistry equation that just needs balancing.
I looked at the screenshot of that list from the episode notes. The kill him side has only one bullet point. Do you remember what it was?
It just said, he'll kill your entire family, or something very close to that. It was the only logical reason.
But the let him live side, that side was completely full.
Judeo-Christian principles. He might listen to reason. Murder is wrong. He's grasping. He's filling the page with reasons not to do it.
He's looking for a rational way out. He doesn't want to be a killer. He wants the data to tell him he doesn't have to do it. He wants permission from the universe to be a good person.
Precisely. But biology has a way of interrupting logic. Walt goes down to bring Crazy 8 some food. He's trying to be humane. He even cuts the crusts off the sandwich.
A really nice touch. It's almost fatherly.
And then the collapse.
The lung cancer.
It hits him like a freight train. The stress, the chemicals he breathed in, the cancer, it all converges in that moment. He suffers this violent coughing fit. He drops the plate. He hits the floor. It's a moment of total physical vulnerability. He just passes out cold.
And the plate shatters. That sound, it's the sound of everything changing, though we don't know it yet.
When Walt wakes up, the dynamic has completely shifted. He's on the floor at the exact same level as his captive. The power dynamic is leveled. He's not the captor standing over the prisoner anymore. He's a sick man lying next to another man.
And in that vulnerability, he confesses. He tells Crazy 8 he has cancer.
It's a moment of pure honesty in a life that has become literally nothing but lies. And it creates a bond. They start talking, not as captor and prisoner, but as two men.
They talk about music. Crazy 8 talks about his father's furniture store, Tampico Furniture. He even mentions the jingle.
That detail is crucial. It humanizes him completely. Walt realizes he actually bought a crib for Walt Jr. from that exact store. He might have even met Crazy 8's father. Suddenly, Crazy 8 isn't a nameless drug dealer. He's a son. He's a local businessman's kid. He's a human being with a history that intersects with Walt's own history.
And that connection is so powerful, it overrides the logic of the list. Based on this human moment, Walt makes a decision. He decides to let him go.
He chooses mercy. He decides he cannot be a murderer. He essentially decides to trust Crazy 8.
He goes upstairs to get the key to the bike lock. He is relieved. You can literally see it in his body language.
Yeah.
He feels like he's finally found the solution.
He thinks he has solved the equation without bloodshed.
And this brings us to segment 4, the plate. This is, in my opinion, an absolute masterclass in suspense. If you are a student of film or television, you study this scene. It's pure visual storytelling.
I agree completely. It's the turning point of the episode and really the turning point of the entire series.
So Walt is resolved. He's going to free him. He has the key in his hand. He's ready to end this nightmare peacefully. He's pouring out the beer, cleaning up the trash in the kitchen.
But then he pauses.
Why does he pause?
He realizes something. He's looking at the cleanup he did earlier. He threw the broken plate into the trash. But something in his chemist brain, the part of him that notices volume and mass, the part of him that demands conservation of matter, says something is wrong here.
He goes to the trash can.
This scene is agonizing to watch. He pulls the pieces of the broken plate out of the garbage covered in sandwich crusts and grime, and he starts to reconstruct it.
Like a puzzle.
Exactly like a puzzle. He pieces it together on the kitchen counter. He lines up the edges. He's desperate for it to be whole.
But it's not.
No, there is a gap.
A large, dagger-shaped shard is missing.
It's a classic Hitchcockian element. Alfred Hitchcock always said, suspense is when the audience knows there's a bomb under the table, but the characters don't. Here, the audience might suspect, but we watch the character do the math in real time. We watch the realization wash over Walt's face.
The mercy was a trap.
Exactly. Crazy 8 didn't just listen to Walt's story, he played him. He used the opportunity while Walt was unconscious to grab a weapon. He palmed that shard of ceramic.
So if Walt goes down those stairs to unlock him,
he dies. Crazy 8 intends to stab him the moment he gets close enough to use the key. All that talk about Tampico furniture, the music, the bonding, it was a performance. Or maybe it wasn't entirely a performance, but Crazy 8 is a survivor. He prioritized his survival over the bond.
That realization is just heartbreaking. You see Bryan Cranston's acting here. His face just crumbles. He wanted so badly for there to be a peaceful way out. He wanted to believe in the good of humanity.
And the universe just said no. The universe said, you are in the game now. And in the game, you kill or you die.
So he has to go back down. But the vibe is completely different now. The air in the basement is incredibly heavy.
Completely. Walt is tearful. He knows what he has to do, and he hates it. He confronts Crazy 8, but he doesn't attack him immediately. He turns his back to him. He asks him, is that all of it? Is that all the plate?
Giving him one last chance, to be honest.
Maybe. Or maybe just stalling because he's terrified. But Crazy 8 knows the jig is up. He sees Walt's demeanor change.
The mask drops. The nice guy act vanishes instantly.
He attacks. He lunges with the shard.
The action here, it's not a cool movie fight. It's not choreographed like John Wick or a Marvel movie. It's messy. It's frantic.
It's desperate. It's ugly. It's two men rolling around on a concrete floor in a dark basement.
Crazy 8 slashes at him with that plate shard. Walt is fighting for his life, and he has to use the only thing he has, the bike lock.
He garrotes him. He pulls back on the lock, crushing the man's windpipe against the wooden pole. It's a brutal, intimate way to kill someone. You aren't pulling a trigger from across the room. You are right up against them. You feel them dying. You feel the life leaving them.
And during the struggle, Crazy 8 actually manages to stab Walt in the leg with that shard.
So there is a physical cost, too. This isn't a clean sniper shot from a mile away. This is deeply traumatic. It fulfills the promise of the title. The problem is resolved. The bag is in the river, metaphorically, but the cost is incredibly high. Walt is literally marked by this encounter.
And didn't Walt say something while he was doing it? I recall him saying, "I'm sorry."
He does. He is apologizing while he is killing him. I'm sorry. That is the tragedy of Walter White in a nutshell. Doing the terrible thing while apologizing for it, it creates this massive cognitive dissonance. He is the murderer and the victim in his own mind.
Walt is left panting, bleeding, with a dead body he just strangled. It's horrific.
And that trauma changes him. You don't come back from that. You can't go back to grading chemistry papers after that and be the exact same person.
So the deed is done. Now we have the aftermath.
Right.
Segment 5, Walt returns home.
He goes back to Skylar. She's crying on the bed. The distance between them is enormous now. She thinks he's having an affair or he's detached. She has no idea he just killed a man.
And he says that line, "I have something to tell you."
It's a brilliant cliffhanger moment. What is he going to say? Is he going to confess to the murder? Is he going to tell her about the drugs? Or is he finally going to talk about the cancer?
It leaves the listener, and obviously the viewer, just hanging there. It emphasizes that while the Crazy Eight plot is resolved, the Skylar knowing plot is just beginning. But while Walt is dealing with his domestic return, the net is closing in elsewhere.
Hank and the DEA are not idle. They are making progress. They find the cook site in the desert.
They find Crazy Eight's car.
And inside the car, they find evidence. They find a small bag of that crystal meth Walt cooked.
The blue stuff. Or was it clear at this point?
At this point, it's just the incredibly pure glass-grade product. It's a breadcrumb. It tells Hank someone new is in town, and they are very good.
And there's a callback to the previous episode, right? The gas mask.
Yes. In a chilling little scene, we see a Native American family. The young girl had found the gas mask in the desert, the one Walt left behind. Now we see the family sharing it, playing with it.
It's eerie.
It is. It shows that the evidence is scattering, but it's out there. The DEA is finding pieces of the puzzle, just like Walt found pieces of the plate. They are getting closer. It reminds us that Walt leaves a trail of debris wherever he goes.
It's that profound sense of impending doom. Walt solved the immediate problem of Crazy Eight, but the larger problem, the investigation, is just ramping up.
Exactly. He stopped the bleeding, but the infection is spreading.
I want to move to segment 6, critical reception and legacy. Because at the time, people didn't know this show would become a cultural juggernaut. But the reviews for this episode suggest they knew something really special was happening.
They absolutely did. Let's look at Seth Amaiton from IGN. He gave this episode an 8.9 out of 10.
That's a very high score for the third episode of a first season. Usually shows are still finding their footing.
It is. And his quote is telling. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if you rolled every episode of every TV show into a giant ball, you wouldn't get anything as intense as that 1 minute where Walt killed Crazy Eight.
Intense is the right word. It felt real. It didn't feel like TV violence. It felt almost like a snuff film. It was so uncomfortable.
And then you have Donna Bowman from the AV Club. She gave it an A-.
What did she focus on in her review?
She noted the balance. We've been talking about how dark this is, but she pointed out that the episode also balances heavy stuff with hilarious lines. The absurdity of the situation, Walt trying to flush a bag of meth down a toilet, the awkwardness of the coin flip.
And that is the Breaking Bad secret sauce, isn't it? The Coen Brothers-esque absurdity mixed right in with the horror.
It is. It's funny until it isn't. And looking back, the rankings completely justify this early praise.
The Ringer, in 2019, ranked every episode. Where did this one land?
They ranked it 10th best out of all 62 episodes.
Top 10. That's impressive for an episode with almost no budget and just 3 actors in a basement.
It beat out huge action episodes. Vulture ranked it 22nd overall, so consistently in the top tier.
It proves that you don't need the massive train heists or the exploding nursing homes to make great Breaking Bad. You just need deep character work.
Even early in the show's run, critics recognize this as a standout moment of character development. This is the foundation upon which the rest of the Heisenberg persona is built. Without the broken plate, there is no Heisenberg. This is the crucible.
So what does this all mean? Let's summarize. We started with a cleanup. We went through the intellectual exercise of the pros and cons list, a completely failed attempt to rationalize murder.
We saw the scared straight irony with Hank, proving how little the good guys understood the reality of the drug trade.
And finally, the shattering of the plate, which really was the shattering of Walt's innocence.
He walked into that basement, a chemistry teacher in over his head, and he walked out a killer.
The deep dive takeaway here is pretty clear. This episode proves that the most nail-biting suspense is intimate. It requires 2 people, a confined space, and a missing piece of ceramic.
It's the small details that kill you.
Before we sign off, I have a final provocative thought for you listening at home, and for you too.
Let's hear it.
Walt wrote that list. He tried to find a reason to let Crazy Eight live. The missing shard gave him the justification to act on the kill side. It was self-defense, technically.
Technically.
But here is the question. If that plate hadn't broken, or if Crazy Eight hadn't taken that shard, would Walt have actually let him go?
That is the ultimate question.
Or was the bag in the river inevitable the moment he entered that basement? Was the outcome written before the plate ever hit the floor? Did Walt need that shard to be missing so he could do what he knew he had to do? Did he subconsciously want an excuse?
It's terrifying to consider. Did the plate change fate or just reveal who Walt really was all along?
Something to mull over.
Yeah.
Thank you for diving with us today.
Until next time.
See you then.